Peace.
Peace.
Islam. Class number 2. Last session was kind of scatterbrained, all over the place or whatever. Just to accommodate some people. During the time of the Prophet, he made some statements. One of the statements that he made was, the Grand Sheikh of a temple should go to the temple, hang the charter on the wall, say the Moorish American prayer. When it is time for the meeting to open, if no one comes to the meeting after he sits and waits for 1.5 hours, then take the charter down off the wall and go home. So even back then, there was this like lax of people taking what the Prophet brought to them serious. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There was this like ability to just look at him as just some regular dude just doing some Afrocentric whatever, right? When like he specifically said that this movement is not to be compared to the Back to Africa movement. Like it's not supposed to be even considered relative to whatever the Back to Africa people are doing, right? What I wanted to deal with today, because there's been some on the Facebook social media, there's been like certain Moors that are in like certain jurisdictions as far as like the Prophet's position coming at us on the level of, well, you guys are fake Moors because you don't follow this and that, and you guys are fake Moors because you follow these Moors over here who do this and do that, right? Now, the Prophet said that there were some things to be proclaimed before every meeting, right? One of them is from January 15th, 1929. So this is like some months before the Prophet actually passed. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, and on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure for obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when the principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seeks to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the Prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their Prophet. And if they lose confidence in their Prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Nobuju Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. So, So in 1913, the Prophet founded the Moorish Divine and National Movement, right? Let's see, 1911 to 1913. The first branch was the Old Canaanite Temple. The branch after that, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and the branch after that, Moorish Science Temple of America. Now last week we read from Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America. And that says, we organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925. And were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois in 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1928 in accord with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. The problem that Moors have, like as far as when we start getting into this information, you know, like as we know, you're gonna get attacked by people, whether it's like people in the legal world or like people who have certain degrees of knowledge that think that what they know is the pinnacle, you know what I mean, of knowing something, right? The problem is that majority of people who come into the movement, they're not taught about this part. They're not taught about this part. Sometimes they're not even taught about this part. There's ample amount of Moors that I heard say, Moorish Science Temple of America, founded in 1913. Right? And like push that as what went down. But right there in the Prophet's literature, he broke down all the years so we know exactly when everything came into being and how it came into being and all that. So the job that we have as Moorish Americans is to reestablish what the Prophet set up. Because what he set up, basically, the Salafs infiltrated up to here. And they're pushing this as the foundation. But this part right here, the MST of A, the Moorish Science Temple of America, if we go to the questionnaire, so there's Circle 7, there's 101 questionnaire, Circle 7 Moorish questionnaire, Divine Constitution. And bylaws. So our authority. So when he says in the Moorish Leaders' Historical Message that the name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois, he's talking about this thing right here called our authority. And our authority is on the back of the 101 questionnaire. Now, when we read our authority, at the back of the 101 questionnaire, it says, I, Noble Drew Ali, Recorder, Saloms, Jasconwick, Moorish Science Temple of America, held at Chicago in the county of Cook and state of Illinois on the 20th day of July, AD 1928, for that purpose, following persons were appointed sheikhs, according to the rules and regulations of such Moorish Science Temple of America. I do solemnly swear that at a meeting of the members of Noble Drew Ali, Mealy Hill, Small Bay, Levitt Bay, and Foreman Bay, the Moorish Science Temple of America derived its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Ali in America, to appoint and consecrate missionaries of the prophet and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America. And said Moorish Science Temple of America adopted as its corporate name the following Moorish Science Temple of America. And at said meeting, this affiant acted as presiding officer, subscribed and sworn before me 20th day of July, 1928, etc. So, the name change happened with this document called Our Authority. When we read the ending of it, it says, and the said Moorish Science Temple of America adopted as its corporate name the following Moorish Science Temple of America, which is a contradiction. Because they're saying that the Moorish Science Temple of America adopted the same name in order to say that it's the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Now when we go back a little further, and this is why, like, when we start dialoguing with other Moors and stuff like that, you're gonna have this like conflict of some Moors who say Moorish Science Temple of America from 1913, and then some Moors who say, well, Old Canaanland Temple and Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and then Moorish Science Temple of America. The actual Art Authority reads, and the said Moorish Holy Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name the following Moorish Science Temple of America. And that's what the authority is actually supposed to read. So that way, we're clear as to the succession that happened when Drew Ali realized that, like, he realized in 1913 that he's gonna have to do all this stuff and finally get to here because of what we're gonna read next. So, March 18th, 1929. So the first thing that we read was from January 15th, 1929, and then that was supposed to be read at every meeting. So March 18th, 1929. And then this is the reason now why we have to kind of go back and like fix these things, right? To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that's facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet,